Thrilled to have you here. 2023 was our biggest year yet in terms of connecting with all of you and growing the channel. So we're thrilled to have you back for more in 2024. I'm sad to say we begin with some sad news here, and that is the death of the legendary Tom Wilkinson.
Yes.
He was 75, just incredibly versatile, had some character actor traits to his wide-ranging abilities, but also just the presence of a leading man in a film like In the Bedroom, for example. Yeah. Incredible. Michael Clayton. Yeah, that's one of his most enduring roles, I think. But just one of these people that, again, when they show up, it's going to be better automatically.
Yeah, absolutely. And could totally become part of an ensemble in a film like Michael Clayton or The Full Monty. He wasn't sort of elbowing his way to the front, played well with others, but also, indelibly made a mark even in doing so.
Yeah, flying home from Boston a few days ago, I was watching the Ang Lee Sense and Sensibility, and he kicks off the whole thing. Mr. Dashwood, right. He kicks off all of the machinations there. So yeah, just somebody who, there was always a surprise, I believe, in the way he would deliver a line or just a choice he would make. There seemed to be this a rumpled exterior, but there was a fire beneath that quite frequently. That was really exciting. So yeah. I was really sad to hear that he had died. He was 75. Also, David Soul died. Yes. We learned today. Don't give up on us, baby.
That's
David
right.
Soul. You can't put him in a box. He's a singer and an actor.
Yep. A friend of mine said that he caught him in London in the Jerry Springer opera in the title role and was amazing.
Oh, my God.
He also starred in a short-lived attempt by NBC to turn Casablanca into a series.
That's strange.
Young Ray Liotta was on that show. Yes, he was Rick.
I can't even imagine that. Anyway, but he was also one of the bad guy cops in Magnum Force, and of course Starsky and Hutch. So a big star of the 70s, David Soul. The Golden Globes are this weekend.
Glynis Johns. We're talking about her. Yes, Glynis Johns
please.
Made it to 100. She premiered the song "Send in the Clowns" in Stephen Sondheim's Little Night Music. But for film audiences, of course, she was the mother in Mary Poppins. She was a very different kind of mother in The Ref. And she was also a Batman villainess, let's not forget. So yeah, Glynis Johns, she could do it all.
Salute. Yes. So the Golden Globes are this weekend. Do we care?
Do we? I mean, the whole point of the Golden Globes was the show, so I mean, is the show going to be fun? I mean, who's
Joe Coy.
Joe Coy. Yeah. I don't really know his stuff, so maybe he'll be funny. I don't know. I thought them choosing Gerard Carmichael last year was an interesting flex. But as far as do these awards mean anything? I think for the most part, they are looked at as a dress rehearsal for the Oscars, not just in terms of what wins there might boost the chances of something else, but also what was their speech like? What did they wear?
Yeah.
How much do we want to spotlight or not spotlight this person? Which sadly is the fate of just about all awards now is people just look at them as more entrails to be read for the Academy Awards, as though the Academy Awards also meant anything, but that's a whole other topic of discussion.
Here's what I wonder. So the whole point of this year is to establish some respectability, right? There are now 300 Golden Globe voters, Hollywood Foreign Press members, and it's a more diverse group. They're going to be on CBS now. They have a new television home after being ignominiously booted from NBC. They had all these scandals. They're putting the scandals behind them. Will people still get drunk and say unpredictable, inappropriate things within this setting where they're trying to establish respectability?
Well, I mean, it's not like the nominees care about the respectability of the HFPA, so it's just a question of how much the booze is flowing at their table, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's taking that seriously. I don't know if people take the Critics' Choice seriously. I know they're trying to elbow their way in. Their shows happening on the CW whenever that airs. But yeah, I don't know.
And then we have our LA Film Critics dinner, not this weekend, but next.
Yes.
I get to present to Rachel McAdams
for
Best Supporting Performance. I got to figure out what I'm going to wear. It's stressful. I got to look nice. This is big.
You have to stand next to Rachel McAdams. So,
I mean, I had to stand next to J-Lo a few years ago. I survived that somehow.
Yeah,
so
see, you're good in a room, Christy Lemire.
It'll be okay. I was younger then. Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse is now part of the public domain, and they're already taking Steamboat Willie and trashing his good name by turning him into a horror villain. Have we learned nothing from Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey? I guess
apparently not. Well, I mean, it's the gimmicky thing that people are loving to do, and apparently they're not even waiting for copyrights to expire. There was a whole horror movie called The Mean One that was clearly like The Grinch, but they just didn't say it, and so I don't know. I think some people are going to be doing some interesting Mickey stuff. I know somebody's been doing like these kind of adventure comics using that sort of black and white Steamboat Willie era-esque thing, so it's not just like, we can make him fuck now, But it is interesting to see how the whole public domain thing comes into play as these beloved properties, start hitting the cutoff dates. So, I'm sure Disney fought long and hard to keep their hands on it, and I'm glad to know that they too are not, they don't get an exception in how copyrights go. So we'll see what happens.
I just have to assume that at some point Mickey and Minnie have done it, right?
I mean, canonically, somebody else was like, hey, Minnie, the copyright of Minnie expired too. Let's not leave her out,
All right, so I'm curious to see how this shakes out. So there's that. For more respectable programming, however, Killers of the Flower Moon is going to begin streaming on Apple TV Plus next Friday. That is January 12th.
People talk about how like Killers and Napoleon didn't, weren't big box office movies, but that like Apple TV doesn't care, and they don't really. I mean, for the weird truth here is that the $200 million that Apple TV blows on a movie like this is not that different from mounting an ad campaign for the new iPhone or whatever. When you think about it, like with the cost of the billboards and the this and the that they do. So for them, these movies are just like kind of lost leaders to induce people to subscribe. So and that's part of the problem. When we look at like the whole thing about where TV and streaming and theaters are right now, that for companies like Apple and Amazon, they have no investment in theatrical exhibition. They're just there to like, and they can spend this kind of money on these films and look at them as just sort of inducements to line up more subscribers, which is, I guess, good if you're Ridley Scott or Martin Scorsese and you want a big fat budget, but how it affects the cinema in general is, history will tell, I guess.
It's cynical. I don't know if you ever listened to the Roger Deakins podcast. I do quite a bit because it's very informative. And if you're into process, it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Roger and his wife, James, bring people on, production designers, directors, and, they had Zach Braff on recently, and they were talking about streaming and how like the whole paradigm is about like not what will be a thing people will see in the theater, but what will they eventually watch on streaming. And like, that's a bummer, that like, mid-budget movies that you would have gone to see in a theater or that's, you can only see them someplace streaming at this point. Anyway, it's a whole other conversation, but it's something that I do think about as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Steven Yeun is not going to be in the Thunderbolts. I guess it was never a definite thing that he was going to be a Thunderbolt. He was never like definitively announced as being part of that cast. And of course is, like Florence Pugh and Julia Louis-Dreyfus and David Harbour and Sebastian Stan and all those Marvel bad guys. And that has been pushed to July of 2025.
Do we know who Thunderbolt Ross is now that William Hurt died? Have they said?
I want to know.
Just wondering.
I will find out. So we have a couple years to figure that out. So July 2025. Do you see this whole thing with Christopher Nolan and his Peloton ride?
I saw the headline and I was like, do I want to know? Some Peloton instructor who didn't like Tenet, apparently? Is that what we're talking about?
So this past week was the New York Film Critics Circle Awards. And I guess when he went up to get his award for Oppenheimer, he was saying that he took a Peloton ride recently, like an old ride recently. And the instructor, I guess she's one of the main Peloton instructors, like one of the very, very first one. This is in 2020, right after Tenet came out. And she's like making small talk and whatever. And like, I watched this movie and like, it's 2 hours of my life that I can't get back. Like, I didn't get it. I thought it was a piece of shit. It's called Tenet. And so Nolan's like trying to squeeze his workout in.
Trying to work out around.
And then she had to backtrack afterward, though, and say, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I loved Oppenheimer. I've seen it twice. So.
I have not seen his speech, but my friend Daniel, who's a big Nolan head, said that apparently he gives a very full-throated defense of the art of film criticism in his speech, which I guess if you're accepting an award from a room full of film critics is the way to go.
That's the place to do it.